Daniel 8:14, often referred to as the central pillar of Adventism, makes no mention of the year 1844 and the cleansing of the heavenly sanctuary of the investigative judgment. Ba't natin nasabi? Ito sabi ni Ellen White, sa Great Controversy, page 409. The scripture, which above all others had been both the foundation and central pillar of the Adventist faith, was the declaration, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Daniel 8:14. Kaya po, ito po'y salita mismo ng propeta ninyo para sa mga Seventh-day Adventists na hindi familiar, magbasa sa Great Controversy sa sulat ni Ellen White. Ito po, nasa page 409, nakasalalay po ang pagiging totoo at hindi ng inyong pananampalatayang Seventh-day Adventist kung tama ang interpretation nyo sa Daniel 8:14. Kasi pag hindi tama, at yun nga po ang ating layunin ngayon, objective natin ngayon, papakita natin na hindi tama, mali ang kanyang interpretation sa Daniel 8:14 using the Bible and references. Wala na masyadong maraming usapan pa. Huwag na natin pag-usapan ng Sabat. Huwag na natin pag-usapan kung madumi ang baboy. Huwag na. Tapos na. Everything is resolved already. Meron tayong dalawang big idea na pag-usapan ngayong gabi. Ito gusto kong tagdaan ng ating mga mamahal na mga viewers. Number one, dapat natin tandaan. Actually, tatlo yan kasi binawasan ko na isa. Tatlo, dalawa lang muna. Daniel 8:14, often referred to as the central pillar of Adventism, makes no mention of the year 1844, the cleansing of the heavenly sanctuary, or the investigative judgment. Okay? So, kung central pillar ito ng faith ng Seventh-day Adventist, pasa natin na ito yung central pillar ng faith. Kahit hindi Adventist, kahit ng Christianity, kahit ng Judaism, na nauna kaysa sa Seventh-day Adventist. At dapat may na-mention doon na 1844. Dapat may na-mention din doon na ito ay heavenly sanctuary, hindi earthly. At dapat may na-mention din doon na investigative judgment. Nasa tama lang naman po ang aming tanong. You are using this as central pillar. Matibay para sa inyo yan. At naging matibay para sa inyo ang Daniel 8:14. Kaya nyo dyan isinalalay ang inyong doctrine na sanctuary at investigative judgment. And number 2 po, the big ideas na tatandaan natin ngayong gabi. Number 2, the Adventist understanding of Daniel 8:14 leads to a problematic depiction of Christ as the destructive little horn that defiles the sanctuary. Ano po ibig sabihin nito? Siyempre, sa bawat pag-aaral ng Bible, dapat merong implication na yan. Ano implication ng interpretation ng Seventh-day Adventist sa kanilang Daniel 8:14 na foundation ng kanilang belief? Ang implication niyan, maya papakita natin, si Kristo ay lalabas na kontrabida sa inyo. Si Kristo ay lalabas na isang evil power sa mga Seventh-day Adventist. Kasi lalabas mamaya, makita natin na kung susundin at granting na tama po ang interpretation ng Seventh-day Adventist, well, ang corollary implication nito, you have to accept that Jesus Christ is the little horn evil power na siya po ang nagdungis ng sanctuary. Biruin mo. Alam ko marami magugulat dyan, Brother Toto. Pero no choice. No choice. Kasi 24 years ko din pinag-aralan. Ganun talaga nangyayari, Brother Toto. No
Tama
choice.
po yung sinabi nyo kasi pagka yung kababanggit nyo lang na lumalabas na si Kristo ang little horn sa Daniel 8:14. Nung nasa Adventist faith pa rin pa ako, ganun din hindi ko po alam yung sinabi nyo lang just now na na si lumalabas na si ang little horn ay si Jesus Christ. Pero mamaya maganda na maipaliwanag nyo kung bakit ganun ang interpretasyon. And I believe that you're going to use historical and grammatical hermeneutic kasi yun ang official di ba na
Tsaka ano po, Brother Toto, gusto natin na wag isipin ng mga kaibigan nating Adventist na tayo lang inaninira, tayo nag-iimbento ng Chismis, hindi ho. Kasi po, yung ganyang pananaw na si Kristo siya ang dahilan kung bakit nadungisan ang sanktuaryo at siya ang dito nun. Kasi mismo scholar din ninyo na Seventh-day Adventist ang nagsabi niyan. Yan po ang totoo. Kaya pag simulan na natin, Brother Toto, Daniel 8:14, often referred to as the central pillar of Adventism, makes no mention of the year 1844, the cleansing of the heavenly sanctuary, or the investigative judgment. Don't worry mga kaibigan, ginawa ko po itong simple. Ito po sinasabi ng Daniel 8:14. And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days, then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Natutuwa naman ako, maraming Seventh-day Adventist kahit bata, memorize tong verse na ito kaysa John 3:16. Sa aking karanasan, maraming bata mas memorize ang John 8:14 kaysa John 3:16. Now, ito po ang central pillar. Bibigyan ko kayo ng background, Brother Toto. Okay? Kasi sa pag-aaral ng Daniel 8:14, isang verse lang yan. So, ang gagawin ko, bibigyan ko kayo ng bird's eye view. Yung bird's eye perspective, ano ba ang background ng Daniel 8:14? Kumbaga, ano ang kanyang mas malawak na perspective? Ano ang pinag-uusapan sa Daniel 8:14? Bakit may Daniel 8:14? Kasi po, ang Daniel 8 ay vision po ni Prophet Daniel sa Old Testament. At dyan, pag binasa niyo po ang buong Daniel chapter 8 sa Old Testament, makita po ninyo, ang big picture po dyan, na vision ni Daniel, ay yung kanyang vision na nakakita siya ng dalawang animals, dalawang beast, no? Na merong isa siyang naunang na nakita ay yung ram o yung lalaking tupa. Nakita si Daniel sa kanyang panaginip, isang lalaking tupa at isang lalaking kambing. No? Lalaking kambing. Kaya po, dyan sa harap ng screen, nilagay ko na po ang pinakabuod ng Daniel 8. The context is about the prophecy about the Medo-Persian Empire versus the Greek Empire. It is not about Christ's work in the heavenly sanctuary. So, kahit kayo po, mga kaibigan, i-browse ng Daniel 8, ang mababasa niyo dyan, yung explanation ni Daniel about these two beasts na kanya nakita. Kung kayo po tatanungin ko, mga kaibigan, meron ba kayong pahiwatig dyan ang pinag-uusapan dyan si Jesus? Nung time na ang Medo-Persia at ang Greece ay nagkatagpo, ay napakalayo pa, ilang daang taon pa, bago ipanganak si Jesus. Okay? So, ito'y prophecy na walang kinalaman sa sanctuary work ni Jesus sa heavenly sanctuary. Let's read Daniel chapter 8 verse 3. Then I lifted up my eyes, sabi ni Daniel, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. So nakita si Daniel, kaya lang sinabi natin kanina, nauna na nakita itong ram, yung puti. No? May dalawang sungay pero hindi magkapagtay. Isa mataas, isa mababa. Pero hindi literal ito. It is a symbol. It is a figurative. Na pinaliwanag din naman ng Panginoon kay Daniel kung sino itong ram na ito. It is not a literal animal, but sabi sa verse 20, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. So, walang ambiguity, pinaliwanag ng Bible na ang horns ay about the literal nation, empire noon, na naging sumunod sa Babylon, di ba? Nauna ang Babylon, and then nagiba ang Babylon, giniba, natalo ng Media and Persia. So, ito palang ram na ito, ay beast ng Media Persia. And then, the next na nakita ni Daniel, sa verse 5 hanggang 8, ito po. Sabi sa verse 5 and 8, and as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground. Ibig sabihin, ganun siya kabilis. Tuwakbo. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. So yung nakita ni Daniel, nakita niya yung horn ng 2 ram na nakatayo, and at the same time, pangalawang nakita niya, merong goat, he-goat, lalaking goat, na merong isang matulis na sungay sa gitna ng kanyang ulo at inatake itong ram. At sabi nga ni Daniel, ay habang tumatakbo siya, nabali. No? The great horn was broken, for it came up. Nung nabali yung horn, nung matulis ng goat, sabi nga doon, nabali siya at merong tumubo ang 4 na sungay sa ulo niya na nakaturo sa 4 na sulok ng mundo. Pagka nababasa kasi natin yung 4 winds of heaven, it is not referring to the winds but the direction of the world, north, east, southwest. So, anong relevance ito? Sabi ni Daniel sa verse 21, ano naman yung goat nito? Sa verse 21, pinaliwanag ng Panginoon kay Daniel. And the rough goat is the king of Greece, Gracia. And the great horn na nasa between the eyes is the first king. Walang duda dyan, kahit Seventh-day Adventists, alam nila na itong first king ng Greece ay none other than Alexander the Great. So sinasabi lang na sa pagtatalo ng 2 beast na ito na nakita ni Daniel sa kanyang vision, ay nakita niya na 2 bansa, Medo-Persia, Greece, at matatalo ang Medo-Persia. At nanalo ang Greece, pero later on sabi nga niya, yung sungay ng Greece which represents Alexander the Great, ay nabali. At nung nabali, yung namatay si Alexander the Great, mamaya malalaman natin, ayon din sa history, yung 4 na sungay na ito, na nakita niya doon sa beast sa pangitain niya, na tumubo at nakaturo sa 4 na direksyon ng lupa, is none other than the 4 successors of Alexander the Great, nung siya ay namatay. Yan. Now, eto na. Sabi dito, chapter 9 to 12, eto na. Nung tumubo na yung 4 na sungay, ay mayroong sa pagpapatuloy, ang sabi po ni Daniel ay ito. And out of one of them, saan yun? Doon sa 4 na sungay na tumubo doon sa ulo ng goat. And out of one of them came forth a little horn. So mula doon sa 4 na sungay, na 4 na rulers, na successors ni Alexander the Great, isa doon, merong lumabas na little horn. Ibig sabihin, yung 4 na sungay nun, yung isa doon sungay, meron pa lumabas na maliit na sungay, which was succeedingly great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it was great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts of the stars to the ground, and trampled upon them. Nung ako'y Adventist, pagka nababasa ko itong host of heaven, and cast down, ang nasa isip ko sa heaven, literal sa akin na heavenly bodies itong tinutukoy na host of heaven. Pero now that I understand fully well the scriptures and its relationship with the history, ito palang term na host of heaven at yung mga stars na binabanggit, it refers to the leaders of the Jewish people. Tinuturing silang stars. Di ba si Joseph na naginip siya na yung mga bituin yumuko sa kanya? It refers to his brothers. So, yan po ang meaning niyan. And stamped upon them, he imagined himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away. And the place of his sanctuary was cast down. And the host given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Okay? Ngayon, tapos na tayo na sa 4 na hangin, o yung 4 horns na 4 na direksyon ng hangin. Walang pagtatalo, kahit mga Adventists, they agree. That is are the 4 leaders na naging successor ni Alexander the Great. Ang ating pong pinag-uusapan at ang pinakalundok at ang pinakamarka na masasabi ko na itong maling doktrina at maling interpretation ng Adventist kung bakit sila ay karapat-dapat tawaging kulto. The little horn, siya'y gumaganap daw. At ito nga, Seleucus, ito yung mga leaders niya ng succession ni Alexander the Great, Seleucus, Ptolemy, Lysimachus, Cassander. Okay? Ngayon, yung little horn daw, na tumubo mula sa apat na ito, is none other than referring to Seleucus. It is a Seleucid kingdom na siya po ang nagpatuloy ng tinatawag natin Greek culture. Kung ganun, sino yung little horn na binabanggit dyan? Okay. Yung little horn na tinutukoy dito, Brother Toto, very obvious. Sabi kasi ng mga Seventh-day Adventists, ito daw ay Papa sa Roma. But the problem is, ito po, context pa rin. Ang pinag-uusapan dito na tinubuan at pinagalingan ng little horn is from the Greek Empire. Diba? Nabali yung horn na yun from the goat. Ang goat nito, sino ba? It is not the Roman Empire. The goat is Alexander the Great, Greece. At never pa nagkaroon ng Pope na Greek. Never. Therefore, dito pa lang sa interpretation of prophecy, may loophole na. May loophole na, mga kaibigan. Yung little horn nang galing sa isa sa mga sungay ng Greek Empire after the death of Alexander the Great. So, itapera na natin, Brother Toto, yung Pope, no? Hindi kasama ang Pope dyan. Sana po, mga mahal naming Adventist, sumunod lang tayo sa sinasabi ng Bible at history.
Paano ho na-miss ng Seventh-day Adventist yung little horn at paano naman na-interpret na papacy? Dito sa inyong ginagawang exegesis ay lumalabas na yung little horn galing sa Empire of Greece. Paano po na-miss out or paano ho nagkamali ang sa interpretation sa inyong pananaw?
Kamali sila dito sa verse 8. Sa verse 8 kasi ng Daniel 8, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and then he was strong, and the great horn was broken. Yung si Alexander the Great, namatay. And it came up the four notable horns. Ito na yung successor niya. Sila Ptolemy, Seleucus, towards the four winds of heaven. So, binagit kasi dito, Brother Toto, winds of heaven direction. Pero sa understanding ng Adventist, dito sa verse 9, nung sinabi na, and out of one of them, they refer it, yung them, tinutukoy nila doon, yung four winds of heaven. Sa ibang direction. Hindi sa four horns, kundi sa four winds of heaven. Na kahit mga scholars nila, nagtatalo dyan. Hindi sila magkasundo. Kaya, ito, expose ito, ha? Punta kayo kay yung iba-ibang mga pastor na nag-expose. Sabi nung isang pastor, I forgot his name, taga California. Sabi niya, ang horn dyan is Rome. Pinagmamalaki ng Rome. Sabi naman ng iba, no, it is Greece. Kasi pag tinignan sa Hebrew syntax, pag sinabi Hebrew syntax or interpretation sa Hebrew biblical text, yung four winds dito is in a masculine form. Samantalang dito sa verse 9, and out of one of them is feminine. How can it be the same? So therefore, yung out of one of them na pinanggalingan ng little horn, hindi hangin. Hindi hangin. Kasi hindi ganun ang Bible. Specific ang Bible. Kung ang little horn refers to a king na magagaling lang sa hangin. You cannot do that, mga kaibigang Adventist. So therefore, and out of one of them came forth little horn. Saan siya nanggaling? Nanggaling po siya doon sa apat na sungay na alam natin, itong picture nito, na dito particularly sa sungay na si Seleucus. Seleucus Nicator. Kasi siya yung talagang nagtagal among the four. That is the common sense at logical explanation. Kaysa sabi mo, apat na hangin. Kailan pa nagkaroon sa Bible interpretation na pinanggalingan ng sungay ay hangin? Para mo sinabing nanggaling sa wala. Sige, Brother Toto.
Okay, so doon pala nagkamali kasi kung babasahin yung 8 and 9, verse 8 and 9, pag tinuloy-tuloy mo, doon sila nagkamali sa and out of one of them came a little horn. So, ibig sabihin nun, kung aatras, ni-refer nila dun sa four winds of heaven instead of yung
four horns.
Four horns, which is nandun
four notable ones.
Four horns. Yung dun sa 5 I think ito.
Yes.
And I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes.
Isa lang yan, kay Alexander the Great.
A notable horn, siya si Alexander the Great.
Yes.
Tapos, therefore, the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. Ito yung nung namatay siya.
Yes, Alexander.
For it came forth four notable ones. Ito yung four notable ones. Yun yung
successors niya.
Yun yung idinuktong dapat 12. Tama ba?
Yes. Yan dapat ito. Drawing. Tama. Yun dapat ang dinuktong doon sa 9.
Fourth little horns.
Yes.
And out doon dapat nanggaling, instead of doon sa four winds of heaven, dapat doon sa four notable ones, which is referring to the four horns. Yan yun. Okay.
Kaya nga natatawa na lang ako kasi para lang
may misinterpretation nga, may misinterpretation.
Napakasimple lang yan. Hindi pwede manggaling sa isa sa mga hangin. Dahil ang pinag-usapan dyan, goat lang naman hindi naman kasama Rome Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, yung background niya para maintindihan nyo, huwag ka magsasali ng iba. Kaya magsasali ng iba, ang mga Adventist, nagsisingit silang iba. Kasi yun lang paraan nila para maipasok ang papacy as little horn, which is not true. At kasi nungalingan yan, na matagal nang pinitindigan ng mga Adventist. No? Kaya nga, nasobra na ako ng hiya sa sarili ko. Ako na lang umalis niyan. Kasi marami, ito isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit ako umalis sa Adventist. Hindi ka nagiging honest sa sinasabi ng Bible para lang mabigyan ng pagkakataon ang sarili mong interpretation. Pinag-usapan dito, walang Rome. Greece lang. No, Greece lang. Ang focus dito is not no other country. Kaya nga pagdating sa verses 23 and 25, ito hindi na binabasa ng mga Adventist. Ang binabasa lang ng mga Adventist hanggang 8:14 lang. And the sanctuary shall be cleansed. So lang. Bakit hindi binabasa ng mga Adventist itong verses 23 to 25 ng chapter 8? Kasi ito ay hindi na sumusuporta sa kanilang paliwanag na wala sa Bible. And sabi dito sa verses 23-25, and in the latter time of their kingdom, so it is talking about the four horns. Hindi na wrong to. Yun sa interpretation, if you read Daniel chapter 8 verse 23-25, may mga subtitle doon nakalagay, the interpretation of Daniel's vision. So anghel na nag-interpret nito. Sabi dito, in the latter days of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king, a fierce in countenance, hari itong little horn. A king, sabi niyan. Hindi siya religious leader. Hindi siya pope. He is a king.
Paano po na-misinterpret? Paano po na-misinterpret yung kasi four winds of heaven? Ang ibig lang sabihin pala nitong four winds of heaven is north, south, east, and west.
Yes.
So from there, nung sinabing out came one of them. Out of them came forth a little horn. Ni-refer nila dun sa four winds. So, ano po ang interpretation ng four winds sa kanila?
They believe it is also a direction. Refers to the direction. for directions of the earth, no? Yung compass, north, east, southwest. Kaya lang, they have to do that kasi that is yung masyado silang naipit din eh. So gagawa sila ng paraan para hanapan ng pwesto kung paano papasok yung interpretation nila na Pope ang little horn. So they have to choose from the 4 directions of the earth. Hindi naman yun ang sinasabi ron.
Instead of yung four notable ones, dun sa 4 winds of heaven humugot para kunin yung little horn para i-sing.
Oo, i-justify na Pope yan. Pero ang liwanag ng verse, yung 4 horns nakaturo sa 4 na direksyon ng lupa. And ito dinidescribe kung ano activity ng 4 na sungay na successor ni Alexander the Great. Hindi binanggit ang winds para sabihin na diyan magsisimula yung little horn. That is only in their imagination. Ganon sila ka-desperado yung mga scholar nila. Kaya sakit sa ulo ito ng mga scholar. Kahit ngayon, yung mga debater na mga apologists ng Adventist na social media dito sa Pilipinas, ilang beses silang lumagpak dyan. Ilang beses silang ginastify yan. Pero in-expose ng ating programa na talagang kawawa itong mga bayaran na mga layman at bayaran ng mga pastor. Hirap na hirap sila. So they don't care kasi malaki naman bahid nila. Malaki pera nila. Pero mali kayo eh. And sabi pa rito, it is a king, It is a king, not a pope. And shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause a craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by the peace shall destroy many. And he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Yan ang continuation. Hindi binabasa ng mga pastor, mga leaders. Kahit ako nagtataka ako eh. Bumili pa ako sa Amerika ng libro na God Cares. Kasi sabi ko, ba't wala interpretation? Kahit si Mervyn Maxwell, pinuputol nila hanggang verse 14. Ngayon pa lang, now I know. Ngayon, dadako tayo sa history, Brother Toto, na maunang mga authority na nagpaliwanag nitong Daniel chapter 8. Kasi ang tendency, kaya marami pong naliligaw ngayon, mga kaibigan, pagkabasa ng Daniel chapter 8, hanggang 14 lang, isasara. Tapos tatanungin na yung pastor sila, Dog Bachelor, ano ba kung ka dito? Tanungin lang sa mga pastor ng Adventist, Pastor, ano ibig sabihin nito? Siyempre, istorya nila, may sarili silang version. Talinong paraan, Brother Toto, na maisasuggest natin sa mga nag-aaral ng Bible is instead of going straight to your pastors na very biased ang kanilang paliwanag at out of context, why don't you go to the mga early documents, Brother Toto? Yung mga early authorities na unang nakabasa ng Daniel 8:14 at Daniel 8. Itong ating babasahin ay authority ito. Kahit sa mga Adventists, ay kinikilala nila ito bilang authority sa history kung ano yung nangyari noon in early time of Jesus. Si Flavius Josephus, The Antiquities of the Jews, Book 10, Chapter 11, number 7. So, this time, gagamit tayo ng history reference, hindi para i-interpret, no. To support what the Bible is saying at kung ano sinasabi natin ngayon. Okay? Ito sabi ni Josephus.
Daniel wrote that he saw these visions in the plain of Susa, and he hath informed us that God interpreted the appearance of this vision after the following manner. He said that the ram signified the kingdoms of the Medes and Persians, and the horns those kings that were to reign in them, and that the last horn signified the last king, and that he should exceed all the kings in riches and glory, that the he-goat signified that one should come and reign from the Greeks, who should twice fight with the Persian, and overcome him in battle, and should receive his entire dominion, that by the great horn, which sprang out of the forehead of the he-goat, was meant the first king, and that the springing up of 4 horns upon its falling off, and the conversion of every one of them to the 4 quarters of the earth, signified the successors that should arise after the death of the first king, and the partition of the kingdom among them, and that they should be neither his children, nor of his kindred, that should reign over the habitable earth for many years, and that from among them there should arise a certain king, that should overcome our nation and their laws, should take away their political government, and should spoil the temple, and forbid the sacrifices to be offered for 3 years' time. And indeed it so came to pass, that our nation suffered these things under Antiochus Epiphanes, according to Daniel's vision, and what he wrote many years before they came to pass.
Dito tayo sa interpretation ng mga unang ng authority, Jewish authority, mga historian, na nakaunawa sa historical application at interpretation ng Daniel 8. Sabi ni Josephus, mula doon sa 4 na naging successor ni Alexander the Great, doon pa lang, bistado na yung turo ng Adventist. 4 na hangin, gusto nyo palagtawin na Rome. Wala kayo sa history, mga kaibigang Adventist. Maawa naman kayo sa inyong ginagawa. Kundi man sa mga pastor nyo. And sabi ni Josephus, merong mababangon, arise a king that should overcome our nations. Jewish nation kasi ang inatake itong little horn. At ano pa ang ginawa niya? And he will spoil the temple and forbid sacrifices to be offered for 3 years. Ito na ang interpretation sa Daniel 8:14. Naisip ba ni Josephus na ang temple na na-spoil ay heavenly sanctuary? Yun ba ang pagkaunawa ng mga early Jewish interpreters? Is it a heavenly sanctuary? Hindi.
Parang hindi.
Never pumasok sa utak ni Josephus. Mas maniniwala ko kay Josephus kaysa sa Ellen White na walang karapatan at bula ang propeta. At sa mga interpreter ng Adventist. Kasi sila ang nakauna, mga kamag-anak nila yung mga apektado doon sa nangyayari yun. Ano yung spoil na temple? It's temple. It is not talking about the heavenly sanctuary. Andito rin ang clue. Kung gaano ho kahaba yung 2,300 days. So sabi ni Josephus, spoil the temple, ginuhitan ko na, and forbid the sacrifices. Ito lang, tinigil yung sacrifices, di ba? Doon sa 8:14. To offer for 3 years time. 3 years time. Ibig sabihin, and the sanctuary, they trampled the sanctuary on 2,300 days, yun pala ay equivalent ng 3 years time. And indeed, it came to pass that our nation suffered these things under Antiochus Epiphanes, according to Daniel's vision, and what he wrote many years before they came to pass. Sino po ang kinatuparan? Ayon sa history, mga authority ng Jewish people, wala pa si Ellen White doon, kasi baka batuhin lang si Ellen White hanggang mamatay doon. Pati yung mga Adventist na kasama niya, babatuhin lang kayo mamatay doon. Hindi naman kayo mga Hudyo, wala kayong karapatan. At bakit doon nilipat sa langit ang eksena, samantalang sa lupa ang pinag-usapan? No? Yung little horn ay historical, si Antiochus Epiphanes, taga-lupa yun, hindi taga-langit. Paano niya matatrample ang heavenly sanctuary? Nasa langit yun. Hindi nga makakarating lang langit yun kasi against sa Diyos. He's a pagan. He's a pagan. So the only explanation we have, the other alternative, or the only option you have, Seventh-day Adventist people, is to agree with the history, not with your own concocted history. Ang dala lang para mang-scam ng mga tao. Ang hayon sa history, ang example na ang spoil na temple is not the heavenly sanctuary, but the literal sanctuary during the time na kung saan si Antiochus Epiphanes ay sinira niya. And that is the well-known interpretation. In fact, Brother Toto, another reference na gagamitin natin ay tinatawag natin mga apocryphal writings. Ang mga Catholic Church, they have 76 books. Kasi sa Old Testament, they have apocryphal writing. Sa ating mga Protestant, we do not have apocryphal writings sa ating Bible, 66 books. Pero it doesn't mean we cannot use the apocryphal books as a reference, as historical reference, additional information from what happened during the time ni Antiochus Epiphanes. Diyan ko na lubusan na unawaan, very useful. Kaya pala mga Protestant reformers, sila Martin Luther, sila yung mga nag-translate ng King James Version, they use apocrypha. They have apocrypha. Why? Hindi dahil ito ay sacred scriptures, no. Dahil ito ay useful, sabi ng mga early church fathers, very useful ito para ma-inspire tayo sa mga story. Kagaya nitong kay Maccabees, story ito ng mga Jews na nagtapat na maglingkod sa Panginoon sa kabila ng persecution under Antiochus Epiphanes. Ayun. Pero hindi sa inspired scripture. Ito po, First Maccabees, it was written before the birth of Christ. Sabi dito sa First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 7 to 10.
So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root Antiochus surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. 1 Maccabees 1:7-10, King James Version Apocrypha. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. 1 Maccabees 2:8-9-12, King James Version Apocrypha. Then said Judas and his brethren, Behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon this all the host assembled themselves together, and went up into Mount Sion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, and the priests' chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes, and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress, until he had cleansed the sanctuary. 1 Maccabees 4:36-40, 1 King James Version Apocrypha. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary, and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet, to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary, and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. 1 Maccabees 4:42-48, King James Version Apocrypha.
Does it sound familiar, Brother Toto? Anong dinidescribe nito? Walang ibang dinidescribe yan, kundi yung sinasabi sa Daniel 8:13 at 14, na ang temple ay madudungisan. Ayon sa patutuon ng mga sinaunang tao na kung saan nangyari talaga yung time na yun ni Antiochus Epiphanes. Mga nakasaksi. Actually, itong si Maccabees, ito ang mga pious Jews na sila po ang parang naging savior sila eh. Sila yung nag-class against Antiochus Epiphanes, and they won. Yung templo, without glory, kasi nga, naghandog doon si Antiochus Epiphanes ng baboy, doon sa altar, sa burnt offering. Baboy ang hinandog niya. Tapos nagtayo pa siya ng estatwa ni Zeus. That is a profane talaga. Kaya sabi ni Maccabees, ang sanctuary natin, nawala ng glory. Kasi dinugisan ng mga Gentiles at sinandugan ng mga Diyos-Diyosan. And then said Judas and his brethren, si Judas, pangalan niya si Judas Maccabeus, siya yung eldest among the five. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Anong gagawin nito mga kapatid? Tara, umakyat tayo, mag-aklas tayo, at linisin at i-dedicate ang sanctuary. Tanong sa mga Adventist, dun sa mga naunang mga Hudyo at nakasaksi, itong magkakapatid, sila yung lumaban dun kay Antiochus Epiphanes. Anong sanctuary ho? Ang dilinisin nila. Sanctuary sa heaven? Kasalanan ng mga Adventist? Wala pa nga kayo doon. Wala kayo sa history. At sabi pa rito, upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, nung umakyat itong magkakapatid dito sa Zion, nakita nila wasak ang sanctuaryo, desolate sanctuary. Anong sanctuary ang nawasak? Sa lupa at sa langit. Pag-Adventist tatanungin, sa langit. Pinag-usapan ba langit yan? Ang pinag-usapan dyan sa Mount Zion sa Jerusalem. Nakita ng magkakapatid na wasak ang temple and the altar profaned. Kasi nahandugan ng baboy. And the gates burned and shrubs growing in the courts as in the forest and one of the mountains, and the priest chambers pulled down and they rent their clothes, pinunit na yung mga damit nila, and made great lamentation. Naipilapot sila sa itsura nung na-desecrate na sanctuary. At tapos sabi ganon, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down to flat the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with a trumpet, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed a certain man to fight against that were in the fortress until he cleansed the sanctuary. Paano ho nalinis yung earthly sanctuary? Based sa prophecy ng Daniel 8:13 and 14. Nag-aklas itong magkakapatid, Judas Maccabeus. Marami siyang kasama. Nilabanan nila. At nilinis ang sanctuaryo. Kasalanan ba ng mga banal yan? Si Jesus ba yan? Wala pa si Jesus yan eh. So he chose priests. Nung matapos yung mga kalaban, tumakas na yung mga Greek. Nagsitakas na. Nanalo sila. So when he chose a priest of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary, and bear out the defiled stones into an unclean place, and when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, nandugan kasi ng baboy, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be reproached to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Therefore, they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain and of the temple, in the convenient place, and they should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took up the whole stone according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former. Nirebuilt nila yung altar na burnt offering kagaya ng dati, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the cloths. Dinidescribe po dyan kung paano ho nalinis ang sanctuary. Hindi yung sinasabi ng heaven. This is earthly sanctuary, and it happened in the Jewish history. Kasi palibasa wala kayong background sa Jewish history. Kung mag-aral ng Jewish, napaka-importante nito. Kaya nga, Brother Toto, pag dinignan natin sa Dictionary of Jewish Words, a Jewish Publication Guide, itong celebration nila ng paglilinis ng sanctuary noon sa panahon ni Maccabeus, tinawag din itong Hanukkah. Hanukkah. Literally a dedication beginning on the 25th of Kislev, which corresponds to late November or sometime in November. Hanukkah is joyous holiday, celebrates the victory of the Maccabees over Syrians and the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in ancient time. Yun ang cleansing the sanctuary. Na-rededicate uli nila ayon sa Daniel 8:14. Hanukkah is often called the Festival of Lights. The Syrian king Antiochus, who ruled ancient Israel from 175 to 163 BC, wanted to wipe out Judaism and convert the population to his Greek ways. Tanong, Brother Toto, sa palagay mo ba hindi familiar si Jesus Christ dito sa celebration ng Hanukkah? At ang celebration ng Hanukkah, o kung tawagin ay Feast of Dedication, ito po ay isang makasaysayan na memorable at kine-commemorate ng mga Jews hanggang ngayon. Kaya minsan meron silang December 25, kala mo Pasko, but they are celebrating Hanukkah. Ano yung Hanukkah? Feast of Dedication. Sineselebrate nila kung paano nalinis ang temple sa time noon na ito ay dinesecrate, dinumisan ni Antiochus Epiphanes. Alam mo ba, sa New Testament, si Jesus ay alam niya itong Hanukkah nito. Sa John 10:22-23, ganito sinasabi, and it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, or Hanukkah, and it was winter, kasi December na nga ito. And Jesus walked in the temple in Solomon's porch. Si Jesus ba hindi familiar bilang Hudyo sa Feast of Dedication o yung celebration ng cleansing ng sanctuary na giniba noon ni Antiochus Epiphanes? Familiar si Jesus. Tapos sasabihin yung cleansing of sanctuary is about Jesus. Tingnan niyo matutuwa si Jesus sa inyo. Kung ang cleansing ng sanctuary is about Jesus, pinagit si Jesus dyan. My goodness. Sana
I think,
gamitin niyo naman yung isip niyo. Pero ito, ano mo masasabi mo dyan? Sige nga. Before I continue.
I think yun nga. As I mentioned earlier, yung data or yung update ng history and yung more understanding from a Jewish standpoint, itong significance nung Maccabean Revolt. Oo. Kaso alam mo, yung ordinary na member lang ng church, hindi ito kabisado. Mas madaling tanggapin kasi kung ano yung pinaliwanag na Daniel 8:14 unto 2,300 days or yung day-year principle i-apply. And therefore, so will the sanctuary be cleansed. So, siyempre, it's self-serving yung
self-serving talaga.
Adventist. Kasi nga, magtutugma doon sa 1844. So, dito, sa pagkaintindi ko lang in a very simple way, na mas aligned itong interpretation at saka explanation ninyo tungkol sa yung defilement of the sanctuary, earthly sanctuary, tapos yung restoration, yung cleansing. Kasi may mga dapat may learnings tayo from the Jewish point of view, pati si Jesus eh. So what is the importance of this feast of the dedication kung babaliwalain natin in our interpretation or view of Daniel 8:14. So kung sa paliwanag ninyo ang dali intindihin, isang upuan lang at pakikinggan lang ng layman, masasabi niya, kaya pala na naging 3 years yung 2,300 days, ang basa pala nun is morning and evening sacrifices. So ang calculation pala nun is 1,150 days literal. Tapos pag in-apply mo ngayon yun, ay tugmang-tugma na 3 taon yung pag-aabuso ni Antiochus Epiphanes tungkol doon sa sanctuary na naghain siya ng mga karumal-dumal. So may significance kasi nga pagka sa history, pag may nangyari, madali nang sabihin this is the fulfillment of that prophecy. Although tayo ngayon, 'di ba, pag binasa natin ang prophecy, inaano natin, nag-i-speculate tayo baka ito yung mangyayari. Ito, ang linaw-linaw na yung pinrophesy ni Daniel sa 8:14, nangyari na. So, mas madaling ipaliwanag na nangyari na ito kesa yung sasabihin na nung 1844 para i-connect lang doon sa nakita ni Hiram Edson at saka yun nga, yung pagkabuo ng ni Crozier at saka yung doktrina ng investigative judgment, kailangan talaga na maraming sabi nga biblical gymnastics. Yung little here, a little there, tapos pagtugmain natin, pag kinumpute mo yan, pilitin na magtutugma sa 1844. Where in fact, ito na ang klaro ng ebidensya. Yung Feast of the Hanukkah,
the Feast of Dedication.
Feast of Dedication, yung Maccabean.
Ngayon, sineselebrate ng mga Jews ngayon.
Is very significant. Talagang
kaya pag pinaliwanag mo sa mga Jews ngayon, yung paliwanag ng Adventist sa Daniel 8:14, tatawanan sila eh.
Well, I guess so.
Lalo magagaling sa Kristiyano.
I guess so kasi ang interpretation is from the Jewish Bible, Hebrew eh. So Daniel is in the Jewish Bible. Pag binasa nila yon, matatawa nga sila kasi nga mababaliwala yung significance ng Feast of Dedication na Jesus himself celebrated kung hindi nila ibibigyan ng emphasis yung Maccabean Revolt.
Amen.
So, I'm sorry to say then for the Seventh-day Adventist doctrine of the 1844 investigative judgment, hindi talaga magtutugma kahit anong pilitin nila kasi nga ang linaw-linaw na nangyari na yung Daniel 8:14 on the 2,300-day prophecy. At saka hindi siya 2,300 days. It's 1,150 days considering ang sinabi ni Daniel is morning and evening sacrifices. So in kalahati yun, di ba?
Yung 2,300, kaya nga evening morning sa Hebrew eh. Ere boker. Sabi, ere boker, ang binibilang doon, evening tsaka morning. Evening and morning consists of 2,300. Pero ang totoo niyan, yung evening morning, isang araw lang, di ba?
Isang araw
evening
lang.
And morning, isang araw. Kaya kung tutusin, kaya yung 2,300, hindi po bilang ng days yun, kundi bilang ng sacrifices, evening and morning sacrifices. Pero kung gusto mo namang malaman kung bilang ng, kung ilang araw naganap yung evening and morning na yun, 1,150 days.
Yun.
Yun ang totoo noon.
At saka tugmang-tugmay, di ba? 3 taon talagang dumaan. Yung
So yung 2,300, walang kinalaman sa days. Walang kinalaman sa days. May kinalaman sa sacrifice. Kaya doon pa lang, doon sila nag-calculate ng kwenta, di ba? Ang bibilangin nila hanggang sa 1844. Doon nakasalala yung 1844. 47, walang kinalaman yun sa Daniel 8.
Well, kaya naman napili yung 457 kasi nga, i-work back lang yung 1844 minus 2,300.
Kaso, yung Little Horn, si Antiochus Epiphanes na Little Horn, hindi pa pinapanganak noong 457 BC. Paano niya matatrample ang temple? Di ba?
Yung oppression is 1,167 BC nangyari, yung Antiochus oppression, hindi ba?
That's true.
So, nakakalungkot kasi historical, tapos ginamit nyo yung grammatical, hindi ba? Tapos nag-exegesis kayo dun sa Daniel 8:14, pero sinali nyo yung 13 kasi hindi matutupad yung pag-intindi.
May tanong kasi doon eh.
Opo.
Basahin natin yung mamaya, yung tanong doon. Meron tanong dyan, Brother Toto, na sa tanong na yun, dapat tama ang sagot. Okay? Sa 13 kasi may tanong, kaso Adventist sa sumagot, kaya na mali. Ito yun, no? Daniel 8:11-13. Total maliwanag na sa atin ang background, yung mga ancient Jewish interpretation at understanding, yung Feast of Dedication, that is enough na to explain Daniel 8:14. Pero, ito, sabi dito sa Daniel 8:11-13, balik tayo. He magnified himself, ibig sabihin, Little Horn, even to the prince of the host, and by him, the daily sacrifice was taken away. Di ba yung binanggit doon sa Maccabees? And the place of his sanctuary was cast down, and an host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression. And it cast down the truth to the ground, sabi ni Daniel. And it practiced and prospered. Then I heard, eto na. Then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, How long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? Ang tanong, Brother Toto, hanggang kailan ba itong mga bagay nito, yung pag-trample, transgression, pagtanggal ng sacrifice, hanggang kailan underfoot, mawawala? So, di ba? Kaso, kumbaga, tinatanong dyan, yung kailan ang duration nitong persecution na ito sa temple? Kailan, ilang duration? Paano natin malalaman? Hindi tinatanong dyan, hindi tinatanong yung exact date na 1844 darating si Jesus. Hindi. Ang tinatanong, gaano katagal ang duration mula nung ito'y matrample ng little horn hanggang sa ito ay mawala. Ilang question eh.
Kaso,
sa Adventist, iba. Tapos, ang sagot, ang tama naman ang sagot. Ang sagot dito ng anghel, sabi dito, ito na, babasahin ko to sa translation ng Jewish Publication Society para hindi tayo magkamali. Jewish na to, Ito'y book nila, Hebrew. Then I heard the Holy One speaking, another Holy One said unto them, How long shall be the vision concerning the continual burnt offering and the transgression that causes appalment, to give both the sanctuary and host to be trampled underfoot? So, pinag-uusapan dito yung suffering, yung pagiging underfoot, gano'ng katagal nyo matrample underfoot ang sanctuary. Nang hindi matitrace yun. Okay, and he said unto me, unto 2,300 evenings and mornings, and then the sanctuary be victorious. Ito sa 13, may tanong. Ang tanong niya, related sa pagtrample ng sanctuary. Ang sagot ng Adventist, kailan ito magiging trample? Sagot ng Adventist, hanggang sa 2,300 years, yung sanctuary sa langit, lilinisin. Teka. Wala ata sa context ng Brother Toto. Ang tanong dito, tungkol sa sanctuary sa lupa, nanda-desecrate ng little horn. Ayon sa history, si Antiochus Epiphanes, di ba? Yung persecution niya sa mga Jews. Sinunog, naghandog ng baboy, nagtayo ng Diyos-Diyosan sa sanctuary, sa temple. Kaya binasa natin kanina, sa Maccabees, dinesecrate ang temple. Nag-iyakan ang mga Jew, di ba? Now, ang tanong, hanggang kailan bang mananatiling ganito na trample? Desecrate yung temple na wasak? Ang tanong ng magkakapatid na Maccabees Tapos isagot ng Adventist, maliginis ang tuwalyo sa langit pagka dumating si Jesus, 1844. Tanong, ang ganda ng tanong, ang layo ng sagot ng Adventist. Sa lupa ang tinatanong, kung kailan ito ma-restore, ang tanong ng Adventist, sa langit niya matatayo. Nag-spiritual. Ang tanong material about the earth, ang sagot ng Adventist, heavenly. That is nonsense. Hindi ba nila naisip ito, Brother Toto?
Sa akin po, to support itong interpretation nito, ang tatanungin sa Hudyo. Kasi sa kanila nangyari ito And natin, meron bang pangyayari na significant sa mga Hudyo? Masasabing natupad na itong 2,300 evenings and mornings. Kasi kung babasahin natin yung Daniel, tuloy-tuloy, mayroon din siyang prophetic, pero sa pagdating ni Jesus Christ, at yung destruction of the temple. Diba? Tama na yan doon sa later verses. Pero since nakafocus tayo doon sa 8:14, tatanungin ko yung Hudyo, kung let's say ako nag-iimbestiga at nag-i-evaluate doon sa interpretation ng Seventh-day Adventist at interpretation ng mga Protestants, sino kaya ang mas tama? Kasi kung sasabihin natin from the Jewish Bible, which is itong Daniel 8:14, tatanungin natin yung Hudyo. So, anong connection nitong sinabi ni Daniel? Sasabihin nila nangyari na yan. Kasi nga yan yung makapiyan na revolt namin. And hanggang today, since the time na sa atin, Jesus Christ ay nag-celebrate, hanggang ngayon, sineselebrate nila kasi significant yung cleansing of the sanctuary, yung restoration. So,
Kaya nga, Brother Toto, kung si Jesus dito ngayon dumating, tanong mo mga Adventist, Jesus Christ, natupad ba sa inyo yung Daniel 8:14? Baka magalit si Jesus sa kanya eh. Bakit? Kasi si Jesus, alam niya, kaya nung time na nandito sa lupa, di ba, nabasa natin sa Bible, he celebrates Hanukkah, the Feast of Dedication. Ano ba yung Feast of Dedication? Yung muling paglilinis ng temple sa Jerusalem. Panahon ni Antiochus. Sineselebrate ni Jesus yun. Kaya, tanong ng mga Adventist, tanongin niyo yung sarili niyo. Pag tinanong niyo si Jesus ngayon, Jesus, yung Daniel 8:14 ba matutupad sa inyo? Natupad ba? Magagalit pa yun si Jesus. Pati kay Ellen White, kay Crosier. Kasi, ganyan turo sa inyo. Nung ako'y nasa lupa, sinelebrate, tapos na. Kaya nga, dedication of the temple yan. The sanctuary dedicates. Tapos na. So, hindi kayo makatugma ni Jesus sa understanding ng Daniel 8:14. Mahabag kayo sa inyong sarili, mga Adventist. Magpakababa kayo. Dahil yan po, magagalit sa inyo si Jesus. Hindi